Hi friends, I miss you. I hope I can see you soon. Let's worship together.
Hi friends, we're excited to be back with you today to bring you another Bible lesson. I'm Holly and this is
Sophia.
And we are going to start out the lesson today by showing you something kind of cool. You know that my husband Jorge and Sophie's daddy comes from the country of Peru. The people in Peru are very talented, and one thing that they do is they make instruments. Now, we want you to try and figure out what sound you think these instruments are making. Are you ready? Okay, we'll start with Sophia. Sophia, can you show us how to use that instrument in front of you? What does that sound like? If you guessed rain, then you're correct. Now, I have another instrument in my hands, and one you probably haven't seen before. Okay, now I want you to listen carefully and think of what this sounds like. Are you ready? Here we go. What did that sound like? If you guessed thunder, you were right on. Now, Sophia and I are going to make a little storm for you together. I'm going to make the thunder, and Sophia is going to make the rain. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Wow, that was kind of cool, wasn't it? Now, some of you, when you hear a real storm, some of you might get really excited. I know that the Freeman family, Pastor TJ and his wife Katie and their kids, they actually chase thunderstorms. They love them. But then I know there's people that are scared of thunderstorms. They run and they pull the covers over their head because they don't like all that thunder and lightning. Well, before we talk about our story in the Bible today, I have a friend or some friends that are going to tell you what frightens them and then how they can calm down. All right, let's go to them and then we'll be right back.
A time that I used to get really scared is when my parents put me to bed. I hated sleeping in my own room by myself, and I kind of used to be afraid of the dark. So both of my grandmas tried to help me, and it's funny as they actually both gave me the same verse, Psalms 4:8. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety, Psalms 4:8. And on the other side, my grandma wrote, when you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet, Proverbs 3:24. And my mommy gave me these verses. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear, Psalms 3:5-6. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety, Psalms 4:8. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, Joy. So those are what my grandmas did for me, and it really helped, and now I'm okay sleeping by myself.
The time I was really afraid was about 2 years ago. We were going to go on a long car trip, and I had heard a scary event that had happened on the news, and I thought that, and it made me think that we were going to wreck while we were driving to our destination, and so I went with my dad and we prayed protection over my mind, and that the Lord would help me think about the things that we were doing at our destination instead of things that might happen, and that really helped a lot.
When I was little, I used to get bad dreams that would wake me up in the middle of the night. And every time I called my mom over, she would come over and pray with me. She prayed that God would take away my bad dreams and fill my head with thoughts of Him for the rest of the night. And it worked. Within a week, I was having no more bad dreams, and I was waking up with better sleep and feeling like I could take on the day.
Welcome back, friends. So, our story today is going to come from the book of Mark, chapter 4, or Matthew, chapter 8. And one of our favorite Bible story books in our family is called the Jesus Storybook Bible. And we really like it because every story talks about Jesus. Today's story is called The Captain of the Storm. The sun was going down. The air was warm and still. Let's go across the lake, Jesus said to his friends. Jesus had been helping people all day long, and now he was tired. So he left the crowds at the shore and set out in a small fishing boat. Jesus climbed into the boat to take a nap. As soon as his head touched the pillow, he fell fast asleep. It was a beautiful evening. A gentle breeze rustled the sails. The friends were chatting happily as they headed out into the middle of the lake. Everything was perfect, just right for a quiet night sail. There's Jesus taking a nap. They were only about halfway across when out of nowhere, whirling wind swept across the lake, fierce and strong like a hurricane. A blinding flash of lightning lit up the sky. Thunder roared right overhead. Thunder roared. Thunder. Okay. The storm blew the water into towering waves that hurled the little boat up, 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 and then sent it crashing back down, down, down. The fishing boat was blown and buffeted and tossed and turned, back and forth and up and down, and left and right and round and round. And in the middle of the storm, Jesus was sleeping. Now, Jesus' friends had been fishermen all their lives, but in all their years fishing on this lake, they had never seen a storm like this one. No matter how hard they struggled with their ropes and sails, they could not control their boat. This storm was too big for them. This is them in the storm. But the storm was not too big for Jesus. "Help!" they screamed. "Wake up! Quick, Jesus!" Jesus opened his eyes. "Rescue us! Save us!" they shrieked. "Don't you care?" Of course Jesus cared. And this was the very reason he had come, to rescue them and to save them. Jesus stood up and spoke to the storm. "Hush," he said. That's all. And the strangest thing happened. The wind and the waves recognized Jesus' voice. They had heard it before, of course. It was the same voice that made them in the very beginning. They listened to Jesus and they did what he said. Immediately, the wind stopped. The water calmed down. It glittered innocently in the moonlight and lapped quietly against the side of the boat, as if nothing had happened. The little boat bobbled gently up and down. There was a deep stillness and a great quiet all around. Then Jesus turned to his wind-torn friends. "Why were you scared?" he asked. "Did you forget who I am? Did you believe your fears instead of me?" Jesus' friends were quiet. As soon as the wind and the waves had stopped, they were just as quiet. And into their hearts came a different kind of storm. "What kind of man is this?" they asked themselves anxiously.
Goliath.
"Even the wind and the waves obey him," they said, because they didn't understand. They didn't realize yet that Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus' friends had been so afraid they had only seen the big waves. They had forgotten that if Jesus was with them, then they had nothing to be afraid of, no matter how small their boat or how big the storm. Thank you for listening to the Bible story, friends. We'll be right back with a fun science experiment. Welcome back, friends. As you can see, we have the beginnings of a science experiment set up. But before we show you a fun experiment that you can do at home, I just want to recap a tiny bit of the story that I just read to you with Sophia. So, you noticed, right, that after Jesus calmed that storm with just his words, his disciples were pretty confused. And they asked each other, "Who is this man? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Well, you see, there's one thing that they did not understand about Jesus yet, okay? They knew he was a good teacher, and they knew he was a kind man. But they did not understand that he was also trying to show them that he was God. He was God, and he could rule over the wind and the waves. There's a verse in the Bible that speaks exactly that. And Daniel is going to read that to us. It is from the book of Psalms, chapter 89, verse 9. Go ahead, Daniel.
You rule over the stormy sea. When its waves rise up, you calm them down.
So as you can see, only God can ultimately control the weather. Daniel and I can't control the weather, but we want to show you an experiment of how you can make in your very own home a rainstorm. But first I have to put in a little bit of science. We all like a science lesson, right? So in front of me, I have a bowl of water. We're going to pretend that the water is the air. Okay, now, when a storm is coming, what gathers in the sky, Daniel?
Water and ice.
No, well, yes, but the water and the ice form what?
Raindrops.
Raindrops, but the raindrops fall out of
The clouds.
the clouds. So Daniel is going to put some clouds over the air. Go ahead, Daniel. And he's going to,
shaving cream.
by using shaving cream. Okay, so now I have Lucas to help me finish the experiment. So we have our cloud that Daniel created. Now, Lucas and I are going to take some food coloring and we're going to make some drops on top of the cloud. We're going to pretend that the food coloring is like extra ice particles or water. And let's see what happens when gravity pulls the drops down. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Oh, I think I see some rain forming. Very cool. Now, at home, sometimes it's good to kind of find a little hole in the, like where your cloud would be. So let's try this a little more. Let's see here. Ooh, there, that's cool. See more rain coming down. This is really fun to try at home. Okay, my kids really enjoy doing this and even making like a rainbow effect with it. So this is something easy that you can try at home. It's not too messy and it's kind of a lot of fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little rainstorm that we made. And I don't know if you've ever been caught in a great big thunderstorm before, but you know what? I would probably have been kind of like Jesus's disciples and been pretty scared about it. I know that maybe I've never had to be saved from an actual rainstorm, but I have had some times in my life where things have seemed kind of stormy, right? And I really need to rely on Jesus and God's help to get me through the storm. Most of those storms happen in your heart, right? As you get older, you might even encounter more storms, but I am so thankful that I know that Jesus is God and that He is there to help us and to guide us and to give us the strength that we need to make it through anything that He allows to come across our path. I told you that I've never been stuck in an actual storm, but there's actually a man in our church who's going to come on in about a minute, and he's going to tell us about a time where he was stuck in an actual storm. He has some really good advice at the end of his story as well. And he's going to wrap up our story for today. There might be a song that we sing together, but before we go to Mr. Denny Bliss, I'm going to pray and thank God for the wonderful stories in the Bible and that He will help us when we encounter storms. All right, can you fold your hands and bow your heads, please? Dear God, I am so thankful for your word and for all the stories in it, all the guidance that you give us. Lord, I thank you so much that there is never a storm too big that you cannot help us make it through. Thank you for being our loving Father and for protecting us and for being so faithful. In your name we pray.
Good morning, kids. It's good to see you this morning. This morning you're going to see and hear about Jesus calming the storm when they were out on the sea. I've never been in a boat where Jesus calmed a storm, but he did calm a storm for me one day. I was out in the state of Oregon hunting elk with a friend of mine that lives out there, and we had hunted for 2 or 3 days, and I got to know the lay of the land fairly well. But about the 3rd, 4th day, it began snowing in the morning, and it was snowing hard. And I knew that the elk would be bedded down, and so they weren't going to be moving much, so I was going to have to kind of go look for them instead of waiting for them to come to me. Well, it was snowing so hard, though, that after time I kind of lost sight of the mountain peaks, everything else. I couldn't see them. But I just kept going, kind of wandering around. And the next thing I know, it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not sure where I am. Well, I have a GPS, so I'll just turn that on, find out where I am, and head back to camp. Well, it was snowing so hard, the clouds were so thick, my GPS would not kick in. It wouldn't work. I'm lost. Well, what do? Well, first I prayed, Lord, I need a little help here. Then I thought, well, I've got my walkie-talkie, so I got on that and called Cody. I said, Cody, where are you? He said, I'm sitting here at the campfire. Where are you? I said, I don't know. He said, what? I said, I don't know. I am lost. Well, turn your GPS on. I said, it won't work. What are we going to do? Well, we decided we both carry police whistles. So I said, why don't you get your whistle and give it a toot, because that sound carries a long way. So I'll hear it. I can walk back to camp. So I come back on the radio a minute later, and he said, did you hear that? No. Well, let me try some other directions. He gets back on the radio a few seconds later. Did you hear any of that? No, I didn't hear a thing. Well, what are we going to do? Well, he said, maybe I'll get my gun and fire off a couple shots, and then you'll kind of know. I said, okay. So he went to get his gun. By the time he came back, I said, wait a minute. It had stopped snowing. The clouds had lightened up a little bit. And guess what? My GPS kicked right on. So I got my compass. I said, hey, I know exactly where I am and how to get back to camp. See you in a while. And about an hour later, I walked into camp, and just before dark. So God had stopped that storm just so I could get back. And that's pretty neat, isn't it? But you know what? There's another way that God calms storms. He calms the storms that we have in here, fear and anxiety and those kind of things. He can calm those as well. You just need to go to Him. So remember, as you think about this today and as you learn about how Jesus calmed the storm, that not only can He calm snowstorms and windstorms and rainstorms, He can calm the storms of our hearts. God bless you. Have a good day.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.